Welcome to Just an Average Citizen, the podcast that helps to educate, inform, and empower you to make an impact in Abilene and the Big Country. All right, it is hard sometimes for me to keep track of what's going on, and I think I figured out a rhythm. So if you'll hang with me, I'll let you know what my plan is so that you can kind of pay attention to what's going on, because too much information is unhelpful. So we got to pace ourselves out. So there's just the right amount of information to be able to keep pace with what's going on in our busy, crazy society today. So it's so important that you will help get the word out about this. It's been going on for a while, and we're still slow to getting the word spread because A, most people don't know about it, and B, not many people understand the value or importance. And so until they're exposed to it, they won't begin to participate and step in. So sharing it with your family and friends is super helpful. To subscribe and then share it. We have so many platforms that we do this on to make it easy for people who are on social media and not on social media. And I'm trying to get other information out to people off of social media as well. But it is a cumbersome process, I'll be honest. But I think I realized doing a podcast when there's no city council meeting is helpful. And then doing all the other information that I share during the week of city council so that you don't feel overwhelmed, because I feel overwhelmed. And if I've been doing this for several years, I can only imagine how people who are not sure they really buy into what I'm trying to sell. But I do think we have some important things to talk about today. It's been a big day. Also, trying to find the time to do it is so important. It's so challenging because doing it of the week of the city council, they drop the agenda packet typically on Fridays. So I'm reading that over the weekend and trying to get it done without weekend events coming up, and just getting it out in a timely manner so that before city council you have information. So that's where I think we'll do the recap after the meeting. We'll do the podcast the next week. And then I've got some new news to tell you about what I'm trying to do, again, to reach you at different levels, because everyone has different places they're entering in. I've really come up with this idea of this lazy river, that so many things are always moving, and people come in and out at different parts. And if you come in and out, will you know what's going on, or will you be confused? Will you try to swim upstream? Will you get drowned by the flow? I mean, there's so many things. So I think life is like that, a lot of the things we do. And so I want to make sure that when you pop in, you know what's going on. And if you don't pop in for a while, then you come back and, okay, I'm not completely caught up, but I kind of know what's going on in the rhythm. So, yes. So it's been a journey. Running for city council was so fun and important. It was an important step because knowing what's happening and what's going on, there's components that you can't know until you get in the thick of it. And as you know, we have another city council meeting coming up, with the mayor being the important one next May. So we need to start talking about that. Hey, May 2026 is the mayoral election with places 3 and 4 running. And so place 3 is is Blaze Reagan, and place 4 is Brian Yates. And so if you don't know those, I hope to help you feel more comfortable getting to know them and actually seeing who is representing us, because that's the best way to know what you're voting for, is to know the people. And so many of us do not know who our city council are, and that's on us. They're just men doing their lives, and they can extend themselves to a certain point, but there's only so much one person can do. It requires like they say, a village to participate and really engage well. So I thought I'd go through this a couple different ways. Not a lot to share necessarily with the city stuff, but I did want to point out that there is an open house for Texas, the Department of Transportation, the Texas Department of Transportation, on Wednesday, June 25th, at the 201 Mesquite Center from 4 to 6:30. And I'm thinking it's probably a come and go, or it may be the entire time. I don't know. I'll screenshot this and share it on my page so that if you can't attend, you can do the QR code and leave your comments. And so it says that they want input from people, citizens, and communities across the state for proposed actions and steps for implementation. So it's a good time for you to get to share your opinions and your thoughts about things that are going on, because some of our frustration, for example, with the Buffalo Gap road construction was TxDOT. That wasn't the city, it was TxDOT. And so there's other things that are going on that are TxDOT related that it's helpful to know and to give them input on how things are working. And so they do have a Facebook page. I couldn't find the post. A friend of mine shared that with me to let you know, and I totally forgot to do that last week. So make sure you know about it on Wednesday. We'd love to have a good turnout because an engaged community turns out and shows up to share their opinions when asked to. So you can see they're doing it all over the state. So the next thing I wanted to point out was I noticed that this, I guess just this morning, on June 23rd, I'm recording this earlier, the Big Country homepage posted that the city of Abilene failed to adequately treat water for 5 months in 2024. And there's been a lot of times where people come and share information and you think, oh my gosh, that's horrible. How dare they? Oh my gosh, I am so offended by what just happened and how they communicated. And I'm in their corner, and we don't understand. We have to come with a critical mind and start to look and be like the Bereans who studied scripture to know the truth and know the signs of their time. Actually, I think is actually, or was that the group from the Old Testament? My brain went blank, and probably not a good idea to share off the cuff some of that stuff from memory. But what I'm saying is we got to read the details. And so I looked through this because I thought, why didn't the city tell us about this? This is kind of confusing. And again, I do think the city should have said, hey, listen, there's going to be some red flags come up that, something didn't go right, and we did not fail to accurately report it. It's not a big deal. It seems like the article is saying it's mostly a paperwork issue where they didn't file things correctly and the standards changed and they didn't adapt to it. Or worst case scenario, they're trying to cover something up. But the article didn't say that. The article just said that there are some changes made, I believe, in March, and they didn't make adequate adjustments, and therefore they were not treating water correctly for 5 months. However, it says here that at all times, the water delivered met other safety standards, and it was a procedural oversight, not a contamination. So again, we can look at this at face value and say, oh, wow, they just goofed. But then again, we have horrible water. So if this is our good water, what are we going to do to fix the water that most people will not drink because it's gross and we shower in it? And that's the part that grosses me out. But anyway, so I just want to let you know, I am paying attention to stuff, but sometimes if I don't bring it up because I don't feel like it's an issue that we can resolve. I want to give you opportunities to have issues that you can resolve, things that you can do to tackle situations, because no one wants to participate in something that is fruitless. And I, of all people, understand the struggle of that. But there's a lot of good things happening in Abilene in the sense that people are starting to understand how to get involved and what to do. And it's a slow process because a lot of times people do not understand the system that we have in place because they've only known the system they see or the procedures they see. And I think we was having some discussions this past week where it's probably been since the 1950s where anyone was actively really doing stuff. Since then, it's been kind of like, hey, hands off. We got to trust the experts. We got to trust the government officials. We'll let them do their job. We'll sit back and enjoy our life. And to me, that reminds me of the story of the ant and the sluggard. I don't know if that's the same story. I might be conflating some more stories together, but the ant works really hard all the time. And the sluggard's like, someone else has got it. And we didn't realize we were being a sluggard because people told us we were doing a good job being a sluggard, and they praised us for our action or our inaction. And it gave us a false sense of security into how our governmental structure is supposed to work. And so what I'm doing is trying to help you understand that if you didn't think there was anything wrong or you didn't know that there was anything you're supposed to do, you're like majority of people in our city. The thing is we can't live that way anymore because we know better. So we must do better. And we start learning things. We need to start budgeting time to make sure we're in the know of what's going on, because if we don't do it, who will? Our children don't need to suffer. Their children don't need to suffer. Our future generations shouldn't suffer because we were like, we're too busy with life to focus on how our government works and how the policies and laws are made to affect how the policies and laws are made that affect everything from planning and zoning to taxes and all those things. And they are things that should concern us because we are a government for the people, by the people. And right now the people are not participating. And there's a few select people who are. And I got to give them kudos because they know how to use the tools and how to use the tools presented to them or available to them to make the system work in their favor. And the problem is we aren't using our tools. And what's funny is when we start to use our tools, then those people who are like, hey, you can't use the tools. They were our secret. We knew about them. Then they beat you over the head with the tools and say, you can't change the system. We've got a good thing going and you're messing it up. They don't say that directly. In fact, they call you all the names under the sun because they attack your character rather than attack the issues. And we don't want to be those people. We want to use our tools to improve our community for everyone, not just a select group of Abilene. So that leads me to the next point. I'm so excited because I had no idea that this even happened in our city, but they actually have a media briefing before the city council meetings, and anyone who's in media can come and ask questions about the agenda. And I thought, hey, that would be a good idea. I mean, I am a citizen journalist. It's not like I do this full time, and I really don't get paid I don't to do this. So this is something I'm doing, but I think it's that important that I'm going to invest time and energy into it. So I tried to get credentialed. Didn't happen because I am not a traditional journalist. And even though there's no guidelines for that, they denied me the opportunity to be credentialed. And so through some consultation with some other trusted sources, I found out that I could still go to the meeting, and I looked it up. And you may not be called on, but it's open to the public. It's at a public space, and it's open to the public for the most part. And so I thought, I'll just show up and see what happens, because I don't even know if it's a meeting I want to go to. And I don't even know if it fits what I need, but I know that I can go. And until I go, I won't know. And so even as I arrived way earlier than was supposed to happen, I went in and sat down and knew, of course, most of the people in the room because they're directors for our city. And I've engaged with many of them throughout the year. I'm getting to be better with engaging with them. It's a little intimidating at first, but they're really, for the most part, most people are nice to me, and I can appreciate that. But so I'm sitting there, and then I get approached by the communications director and telling me that I'm not credentialed, but I'm welcome to stay. And I think that's interesting because, I was welcome to stay, but she didn't start with that. She started with the other part. And so we talked back and forth about how it's better to engage with people than just tell them no, and work with people who are trying to work with you. And so it's all good. And now I know what the meeting's like. So if you've stayed with me for a hot minute, or you've paid attention to what I've been saying for a hot minute, or if you've watched me on city council meetings, you've known that I'm like, hey, can you approve the communication? It would be great if you could just kind of explain what's going on. Hey, why don't you pull this out of the consent agenda that's voted on by a group and explain things to us, like the fact that they're spending money from the street maintenance fees that are being collected on a project. Or, hey, you bought purchased a vehicle or street supplies that was under budget. This is great. Like, there are things that they don't explain to us from the consent agenda because it's voted on as a whole. Now, I've tried to open up opportunities or point you in the right direction so that you can read the packet, but even the packet can be limited on the information. How do I know this? Because when they started introducing the totally easy agenda, the T, I started reading them and seeing that there's information presented on the totally easy agenda that is not in the packet. And so I learned things from there, which is weird because if I'm learning things from there, that seems to be going in the wrong direction. The packet should have the most information. The T should be watered down. The totally easy agenda should be watered down, and so on and so on, or so forth. So it's really been a struggle to find out where the right pressure point is to say, hey, this is important, you need to do it. And, I've tried my best. I've come up with the top 3 to do the top 3 agenda items so that you can know kind of what's going on. And it's been a process, but it takes lots of time for me to do all these things. And so it's important that you understand how excited I was when I sat through this first media briefing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I've been asking them to do. And guess how many people were in that room for this meeting? 1, besides me. And how is it that we have all this information at our fingertips and we're more interested in sharing it with 1 or 2 media sources instead of the whole community of Abilene? It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I feel like I went to Goodwill looking for the white whale of an item, I don't know, some antique thing, and I found it on sale for $1. It's like, I don't even have to do anything. So what I did was I've created a new program or a new thing that I'm dropping on. Hopefully it'll be on Mondays. It should be pretty easy to do on Mondays. It's called the Community Coordinator Press Briefing. So several meetings ago, I told the city council that, they have a downtown coordinator. They have different, people to talk to different aspects of the city, but no one seems to worry about the rest of Abilene. So that's me until they actually hire someone or they change that downtown coordinator to be all of Abilene coordinator. Because what happens is you just need a liaison who helps you translate some of the city lingo and this legal mumbo jumbo into something that's translatable that makes sense to you, because everything they do, it matters and makes sense to you. Now, some things are more pressing, like, for example, they're paying for some new, they signed a new lease agreement for some rental cars that they use. And I don't even know what those are because it really didn't say. And And I guess I'm not sure if it really matters what it is, but it's nice to know the information so you can say, oh, okay, yeah, I get it, and move on. But so I've just jokingly, this is tongue in cheek that I'm the community coordinator because it's not a real position, but I'll take it. And I'm going to do my best to help Abilene understand their value and worth as citizens so that while I may be above average right now, we want that to be the average. We want people to go back to a place where we're more involved and engaged. And so average means everyone's kind of, that's where everyone's at, or median is where it's kind of the middle of the road. We want more of us to be considered above average so that when our kids and their future generations are like, oh yeah, this is normal, this is how we do life. Instead of us who are like, oh my gosh, attend a city council meeting, oh my gosh, let somebody know what's going on, oh my gosh, share my opinions. Like, these are things that shouldn't be a hard path, but they have become hard because we've been told to be like that sluggard and not worry about it and just go eat, drink, and be merry. And so I think it's a good start. I'm excited. I'm excited to know that I'm not having to reinvent a wheel anymore. And so all I did was I recorded the meeting and I just cut out the parts that were the directors talking, explaining in layman's terms for the most part. I mean, there's very few that used acronyms that we couldn't understand. They did a good job of explaining it. And I'm thinking this is what we should be doing to the entire city of Abilene, not just the media who then filter it out and let us know some things, but not other things. Or maybe we're more concerned with this item and not that item. And again, it's not that they have to report on it. It's not that the city should, but they're already doing it. So just record it, splice it, throw it together, and you have a video that shows the lowdown for people for the week of the city council meeting. Check this out. It is still a little heavy for most people. You're going to say, I don't really care about it. And that's okay. If you don't care, press through and try and watch at least half of it. And then if you get through half of it next time, try and watch 3/4. Push yourself to watch a little bit so that it becomes normal. Like when I've always loved to read. And when I started to read again, I had a hardest time reading even like a 7th grade level fiction because my brain from all our media devices and all the things, I had a hard time paying attention even at that low level, which was not a challenge for me, but my brain needed to be retrained. And so as I began to read some easy books, now I'm reading much more complicated books that allow me to focus and read. And that's how it is with city stuff. It is, again, a muscle we've not used, and we've got to work on using it more and more, which is why another thing I'm trying to do, which they said can't be done, but we're going to keep working on it, is the city council made easy for just an average citizen. It's going to happen this Thursday because there's a city council meeting in the morning. So this Thursday, it will be from about 7 to 8. We kind of find a table out behind Allen Ridge where like the Biscuit Bar and Fuzzy's Tacos are, and just sit out there. And if you want to grab a meal, come and join us and eat, or grab a drink, or just come and join us. Because one of the things we've lost the art of doing is working together and talking together in a regular format rather than online or in emails or on the phone. And so it's just a way to get to know people who are concerned and want to know more. It's a come and go thing, so it's not a real big deal. You can come and say, hey, I just want to know what this is, and I will do my best to help you or find out a way to resolve whatever it is you want to know. Or it's time to ask stupid questions like, why do I even need to show up and why should I care? Everything's going fine for me, right? Like from every end of every spectrum. But we have to start caring because our community thriving depends on it, because we know what happens when one person does everything. Either they get burnt out or they make a bad decision and it all falls apart, or it's hard to replace them when they're ready to step down. So we need to engage more. And so that's something that we're trying to do. My husband and I hang out and we enjoy it, and we've had people come and talk to us, and it's great. And I really appreciate it because I know it's a new muscle we're working on, and I think that's important. But I've seen some really exciting things happening, and I know that the information is there and available. It's just not made accessible. And so that's my job, is to try and help figure out how we can make this stuff accessible so that the city council has an easier job making their policies, because they really get a feel for the entire community, not just those who reach out to them. So the city manager has a better job instructing her employees, and she doesn't have to fear citizens coming up and attacking her employee or restricting citizens from talking to her employees. I don't know what this new city manager will do, which, let me close with this, is that I don't have a slide for it, but this Thursday's city council meeting is actually starting at 10 a.m., which is way later than normal. And there will be a reception for the new city manager, Emily Crawford. She'll be sworn in, and then they'll have a reception. And I'm not sure if it's open to the public, but I'm inviting everyone to come say hello to the city manager. It's a great way to get yourself introduced into the deep end of being above or just an average citizen. and getting to know her and just saying, hi, welcome to Abilene, giving a warm welcome, showing up to the city council meeting and just being present for big, significant changes, because we can introduce ourselves, welcome, get to know this new city manager, and then pray for her that she does a great job navigating through the waters of transition. And there's a lot of financial strains that we have that are kind of on the brink of could go one way or the other. And I'm not sure which way it's going to go, depending on some choices that are made or decisions that are made. And so I think there's a lot of good opportunity to get plugged in and get connected in this new season of our city. It's a fresh start for a lot of us. So let's get involved and let's be engaged in this way if you can come. I'm thinking the meeting will go from about 10 to 10:30. They'll swear her in, and then about 10:30, 10:45, the reception will start, or maybe it's closer to 11. I don't know. I don't think there's actually that much going to happen. So I do think it's the first part of the meeting will be about 30 minutes and getting her sworn in, and then there will be a reception after. And so we're going to hang out because then there's more meeting afterwards. There's a lot of zoning changes and, what is it called? Oh my gosh, the CUPs. What are they called? Conditional use permits. There we go. It's funny. I've been typing and writing all that stuff all day. So I hope this helped. Let me know if there's something you want to know more about. I'm glad to do research. I've got people who ask me stuff, and I try to look it up and find answers if I don't already know that information. But this is fun, guys. It's fun because it's reconnecting me to the city that God has called us to live in and love, and I'm loving it. It's great. There's so many good things happening, and it's just not something that's going to be televised or blasted through the streets, but you got to get connected so you can know what good things are happening in Abilene. And it's about restoring just the role of citizens being engaged and involved in our community. So I hope that helps you out for this week. I hope you are a little bit more educated, a little bit more informed, and a little bit more empowered to make an impact in Abilene and the big country. Until next time.